For the most part, I've usually found that each Game of Thrones episode has like this umph moment. I'll give you an example. In the first episode of the season, it was Melisandre. The episode after that, it was Jon's revival. Then last week's episode was about Hodor, and I felt like this episode kind of lacked that umph moment. I mean, there were some good moments here and there. I especially enjoyed the Arya section and Benjen Stark. But other than that, I mean, I don't know. This episode ended up with Dany giving a speech about something that we knew that she was going to do already. Don't even get me started on that Sam and Gilly shit. Oh, no. That scene did not need to be that long. I'm sorry, it just didn't. I felt like the whole point was like, unless Sam's family is going to have a major role later on, I felt like the whole point was just to get Sam a Valyrian steel sword. That's it. Kind of like Zelda. You got the item, you can leave the temple. Da-na-na-na. So getting the sword is good, because it means that he's eventually going to have to do some fighting or defend himself later on. But everything he does is for Gilly's sake. It's like, Gilly, we have to leave. Or Gilly, you shouldn't say this. Or Gilly, I'm getting nervous. What the fuck? I just think it went on for way too long. And aside from getting to know Sam's family, I don't think it added anything new to the dynamic. You know, another section that kind of made me go like, what the fuck was the King's Landing section. For a moment, you know, I was anticipating some major bloodshed. That didn't happen because the High Sparrow has everybody wrapped around his finger. But I think the key of this scene here is Marjorie. I think Marjorie is definitely key. Because the only way the High Sparrow, you know, would have been able to get to Tommen would have been through Marjorie, correct? Now, the question is, did Marjorie intentionally manipulate Tommen because that was her only way out of her situation? Or because she intentionally wanted Tommen to make him see eye to eye with the Faith so that the Lannisters wouldn't go back to being on top? Because if the massacre had taken place, if Jaime and, you know, the army had killed the High Sparrow, that's pretty much a point for the Lannisters. Because had the massacre taken place and had the High Sparrow been killed, even though Marjorie is queen, it would have still sent the message that Jaime and Cersei are the ones calling the shots, because they're the ones that like came together and they told Olenna and Lord Tyrell, we got to do something about this, but it was on their behalf. So just to reiterate my question, did Marjorie intentionally manipulate Tommen because she had no other way out, or did she do it because she didn't want Jaime and Cersei to win this move? Because I do remember in one of the previous episodes, Loras told Marjorie, just let them win. I just want this to end already. The real what the fuck moment for me was when Tommen, you know, gets Jaime out of the Kingsguard. And not only that, but like after that, he tells him, I want you to go to the Riverlands or whatever. And Cersei doesn't have a problem with it. It's like, what the? So your kid, your last remaining kid, is being manipulated, you know, up the ass. And you're okay with Jaime just leaving? I don't know. That seemed really weird. I know she mentioned that there's a trial by combat coming up and that she's good because she has the mountain. But she's like, go back and take that castle back because you can. Because we're Lannisters. I'm like, hold up. Like, your kid is being treated like a fucking puppet. And you're okay with Jaime just leave? I don't know. He's going to run into the Blackfish next week. A joke has been started, all right, about the fact that some of these characters may have a medieval teletransportation device because they get to where they're supposed to go and where they're supposed to be really, really fast. I mean, like one episode, they're in one location, the next episode, boom, they just appeared out of nowhere. They just apparated there. But no, I really think that the Riverlands is going to be a point of intersection for a lot of different reasons. You have Jaime going there, Brienne is going there. We just saw Walder Frey. It's already been established that there's going to be conflict between his house and the Blackfish. And also, this also brings us back to Sansa and what Littlefinger told Sansa, get in touch with your uncle, you know. Get in touch with the Blackfish. He has an army. He may be able to help you against the Boltons. A lot of story points are intersecting at the Riverlands pretty soon. And speaking of the character teletransportation device, Theon and Yara, if you watch the preview for next week, are already in Volantis. I guess when Theon lost his penis, he was granted the ability to run like the Flash or some shit. They got there super quick. But for story purposes, this makes perfect sense because in this episode, we have Daenerys just casually asking Daario, how many ships would I need to go into Westeros? And Daario says, about 1,000. And who has that fleet? No, but, well, Greyjoys. There's no point in these Greyjoys being in Essos if they're not going to ally themselves with Dany, or if they're not going to give Arya a ride back to Westeros. So it's just obvious. It's super. You can see this shit forming a mile away. Like I said previously, I really like the Arya section because I think it's just her finally coming, to the decision that she just has to bail. She just can't stay in Bravos anymore. She realizes that she's too much Arya Stark to ever be no one. And so she grabs Needle, which is a reminder of her identity, and she stops the assassination that she was assigned. And I kind of get the feeling that they may pull a plot twist with this in saying that this lady at first seemed really nice and she didn't deserve to die. But what if Jaqen later reveals to Arya that this lady was a total bitch and that she had done some horrible things and she really did deserve to be punished or something? They may go that route with it, I don't know. But it would be a cool plot twist just to sort of like school Arya into like, you can't decide who lives or dies because you don't know the truth. I like the reference to the Mercy chapter that was released by George. It's a chapter that's supposed to be in Winds of Winter, but George released it early, and that's where the name comes. Mercy, that's the name of the chapter, and that's the name that Arya gives herself or is assigned with. And she's either way, she's getting ready to leave. I'm pretty sure she's getting ready to kill the waif. I don't think she's going to kill Jaqen. I mean, I don't know if she can, but she's getting ready to kill people. I mean, it's just obvious. And if she gets killed, all right, if she doesn't leave, if she gets assassinated before leaving, then this would be literally the most pointless training arc ever. And then we have the Daenerys scene, and I actually thought this was going to be like the cliffhanger for the episode. And visually speaking, it looks great because, it's just nice to see her ride Drogon again. But in terms of actual substance and content, I'm like, we kind of already knew this was going to happen. In fact, I think they could have done a better job if they had, combined this moment with the moment we had in episode 4 when she steps out of the fire. I think those two moments do pretty much the same thing. It's just, reiterates the alliance or the power that she has over the Dothraki and that she's going to take the Seven Kingdoms for herself. The only difference is that instead of seeing her boobies in this scene, we get to see a dragon. So it's your pick. What do you want, boobies or dragon? We have Bran, who's basically being turned into a human Wikipedia page, and he says he's not ready to be a Wikipedia page, but amongst some of the most interesting flashes is a shot of the Mad King just yelling, "Kill them all!" or burn them all, actually, in his craziness. And I'm pretty sure a lot of fans are going to pause and just go back to the scene and just analyze it frame by frame. It looks pretty interesting. I hope that, through a better analysis of it, we can not only learn about, stuff about the past, but also about maybe get some clues about what's going to happen in the future. And of course, we have the return of Uncle Benjen. Now, if you watch the behind the episode, which is a 7 to 5 minute clip that HBO releases after each episode of Game of Thrones, one of the showrunners actually refers to Benjen as Coldhands Benjen. So I guess that would kind of confirm the theories that Benjen is in fact Coldhands in the show, not in the books. Now, for those of you who don't know who Coldhands is, he's basically a character in the books, a mysterious figure hooded in cloak that lives north of the wall. He's been able to survive north of the wall, and he's neither a White Walker nor a White. Now, that scene actually gave me an idea to something else, because Benjen says that the only reason he was able to survive was because the children helped him, and they introduced a piece of dragon glass into his heart to stop the transformation. So, with that in mind, one of the places in the Game of Thrones world that is famous for having dragon glass, right? It's also called obsidian, but one of the places that is famous for that is Valyria. More specifically, the ruins of Valyria that we saw back in the previous season where Tyrion and Jorah were on a boat. And that's exactly where Jorah got the grayscale from, in that place, in those ruins. So I found it interesting that in this episode, a sort of cure is introduced that stops people from turning into a white. It's not really a cure, you just stop the transformation. And so, in the previous episode, Daenerys told Jorah, you need to go and find the cure. Find the cure and then come back to me. So what if Jorah ends up going back to Valyria? And he did tell Daenerys, if this grayscale gets too bad, if it spreads too much, I'm going to end up killing myself before it gets too bad. So what if he goes back to Valyria? He has, I don't know, maybe he finds a piece of obsidian, a blade, or a piece of dragon glass, stabs himself through the heart to end his life, and instead ends up curing himself. I thought that would be cool. That would be a nice, woohoo, yeah! Then he can have like a nice stone arm, Winter Soldier type of thing going on. Then again, this is Game of Thrones where optimism rarely pays off. But if you're a show watcher only, what did you think about Benjen coming back? Because I kind of get the feeling that not a lot of people remember who he is.
you'll probably need to go back to like the first season and rewatch some of his scenes with Jon and Ned. I mean, I know the book readers definitely wanted him back and wanted to learn more about him, but the show only people, I don't know. Let me know. That's it for me. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, because I bring you Game of Thrones reviews. Comment down below with your thoughts, and yeah, like the video if you did. Appreciate it. Thank you. Bye.